Ladies and gentlemen, denizens of the internet, welcome back to the Deplorable Batcave, your semi-weekly dose of keck, cringe, and all things in between. Tonight, we talk about somber topics, keck topics, just stuff. Joining us tonight, we have Matt Christiansen from his own YouTube channel. Say hi, Matt.
Hey, thanks for having me, and thanks for supporting my stuff too, guys. Really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, we all actually met on your channel, so yeah.
Is that so? Yeah, you guys met through my stuff.
Yep,
yeah,
through your Discord, and then we set up our own little Deplorable Batcave where we hide out.
That's pretty cool, man. That's that stuff always gives me the feels, you know, when friendships are forged and stuff like this pops up.
International friendships, no less, because we have a token Brit here.
Oh,
yep.
Really? I've been lectured by British people about gun issues the last few days on Twitter.
The irony is we have the other side of the argument here.
Good. Yeah. Thank God. Please don't.
You may be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Thank you. I've been lectured by so many of them for having the gall to want to defend my life and property.
Have you countered with are you guys going to start banning trucks yet?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a lot of that stuff. I don't think it's wrong. I just think it's kind of tired, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't go with the truck of peace stuff, but it's mostly just like, I can't believe people are so willing and eager to surrender their ability to defend their own life and property to the state. I'm not saying the state has no role in protecting those things. In fact, I think they have a major role in that. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, nobody can do that for you on a moment's notice but yourself. And I can't believe...
Are you referring to the United States in particular, or do you mean any country?
I mean anywhere.
Okay. So can I jump in on this one?
Sure.
So within the United States, it's an almost sacred and intrinsic aspect of the country's identity to have the ability to defend itself.
Yeah.
And the ability for any one person to defend themselves against potential tyranny. This is a unique phenomenon of the United States. It's something that sets it apart from any other nation on the planet. And it is something that's alien to other cultures that are either still under rule, and by the way, I am a royalist, or are happy for the government to take away their rights on the basis of, well, they will defend us in the long run, without looking into history's repeated examples of how that tends to end quite badly.
It is strange to me, because it does seem clear to me that we come from very different cultural perspectives. And as I said, I can completely understand that the state has a role in protecting life and property for everybody. But the state, is it just that the U.S. is more rural? Like, if I were to call 911 right now, I'm not way out, but I would guess a response time would be like 10 minutes. So what happens in the 10-minute interim?
Actually, considering it takes me 5 minutes to drive to my local police station, I would expect 10 to 15 minutes too.
Yeah, so. I mean, in places like the UK or elsewhere, what do they say about that interim? What am I supposed to do?
You have lots of rural areas in the UK as well, and you have the village lifestyle. This is fast changing, of course, for various different reasons, notably immigration. But a lot of these decisions are made by people in the most populous areas, which are, of course, major cities. And that's where this mentality does not apply. You have a lot of police, because in major cities you'll have a lot more crime.
Mm-hmm.
And police need to be on standby, and they don't know everybody on a first-name basis. Though in the UK, of course, this is made all the more complicated, because police will no longer respond to burglaries, but will respond if you make naughty comments on the interwebs.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Well, one thing I also kind of know from history that I find interesting, that isn't actually talked about a lot. Right before the American Revolution, the British government actually tried to strip firearms from the American colonists. It was one of the reasons why a lot of people joined Washington in his rebellion. Because the Brits were trying to stop it, and basically the Brits learned after America, don't let your colonists have guns.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why America is so unique, why America is so unique with firearms. we were the only one that was really able to keep them. Everywhere else kind of had most of them stripped.
Unfortunately, on the topic of guns, we do have to bring up the now. People like Matt have covered the topic ad nauseum. So we're going to do a slight divergence from the norm. We're going to talk about the news and coverage surrounding it. The over-dramatization of the outrage, because I swear I could probably write, you could, in a basic English class on a college level, you could probably write the fluff pieces you've seen. The students' eyes welled up with tears as one by one lawmakers shatter their hopes and dreams by allowing people to continue purchasing guns.
The purchasing of guns wasn't the failure here. What was the failure here was the system. Oh, hey, Bigfoot.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome aboard.
Okay,
Have we started?
Yeah, we started.
Yes.
Okay.
No problem.
But
as I was saying, it was the FBI was warned about this guy a day before he did it, along with local law enforcement and the sheriff. I think him and his deputies went to the kid's house like 39 times over a 5-year period.
Yeah, did you guys see the news today too that apparently the armed deputy on the campus of Parkland sat around and never engaged the shooter during the active shooting situation?
There was an armed deputy on campus?
Yeah, there was, but he had a handgun.
Now, in fairness to him and to play devil's advocate, what was the reason for that? Was he seized by shell shock? Was he...
He resigned today. I don't know the exact reason. But,
he failed in his duty. An officer's job is to get in between the bad guys and the innocents.
Sure. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that there could be a number of reasons why that happened.
The only time I think the cops don't get involved is if their presence actually is a clear and present danger. But in a situation like this, the cop should have gone in there, dug in where he could, and just basically tried to keep this kid down until backup got there. That would have given more kids time to escape. So the guy, he's resigning, so he at least feels guilt about the incident.
Do you know how big the campus is for this high school?
It's 3,200 kids. It's a I don't know like the square footage or acreage or whatever, but it's a big place.
Yeah.
3,200. Yeah, that's a very big school.
Yeah.
Even American standards, that's a big school.
That's almost like a work camp.
Yeah. I mean, but the coverage of this has just been extremely melodramatic, and I think the reason why is because you really can't blame guns in this situation. You kind of have to blame the system.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. Hypothetically speaking, what if this had been like an incident in China with the, I believe it's pronounced Uyghurs, like the Cheng name, and they tend to go on a rampage with knives.
Well, I think the one China story that people tend to bring up that had multiple attackers, so that's not a really good comparison. But there is a Japanese knife attack that had one person and he ended up killing like 19 people.
Well, that one was, I think he killed, well, what was it? Like disabled people while they were on the beds.
Okay, but just hypothetically speaking, let's say he had a bladed weapon and he'd gone around hacking and mutilating as he went along.
It probably would have only made regional news, and maybe state level news. And then it would get mentioned that there was a knife massacre at the national level for about an afternoon. Then it would have disappeared.
So it's not about people being killed then.
It's about guns.
Being mutilated.
Yeah, it's about guns. Look, yeah. Also, something I found interesting. The media. Did you guys hear about them jumping on the whole he's a white supremacist part of this Florida militia?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you actually dig into this militia a little bit, you find out that actual white supremacist groups are embarrassed by these guys.
Embarrassed by whom?
I can't remember their name, but the militia,
the Republic of Florida.
Yeah, Republic of Florida. Yeah. The bigger ones are embarrassed by them.
Why? Because why are they embarrassed by them?
They're attention hogs. The Republic of Florida has a history of contacting the media, trying to get attention for itself. It's only
Yeah,
got, like,
wasn't
20
that
people.
basically what happened? I mean, it was all this big trolley effort anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. The Republic of Florida, them trying to connect it is odd because the thing is, if this was like, I would. It's hard to call any white supremacist group legitimate, but a legitimate quote unquote white supremacist group. If one of those claimed the kid, they would have had, and they wanted to do it. This would shoot their message in the foot because he was attacking a school that was majority white. So it makes no sense why white supremacists would target this. Don't you think it would target a majority black or Hispanic school?
I think we can see over the last year and a bit that logic is not necessarily the issue here, and sensationalism is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it goes to show the thirst to try to blame white nationalist groups for things like this. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't inquire where there's evidence to suggest that's the case.
Sure.
Motive is always important.
Yeah.
But there's such a thirst for it that at any sniff of that being the case, they completely abandon proper journalistic protocol.
Well, there doesn't even have to be enough.
Well, I personally feel that goes in accordance with using their platform to stifle discussion on any other topic that they don't want to be engaged with.
Yeah.
And this is the exact same thing they do here in the UK as well. Far-right groups are completely insignificant here, yet they are inflated and drawn into the public sphere.
Yeah. Well,
far too often to divert attention from much more pressing issues.
Doesn't that kind of the left, its playbook is the rules for radicals. Isn't that actually the worst thing you could possibly do? Because you're making the enemy perceive to have more power than it actually does. And that's one of the tricks that Rules for Radicals talks about, where you act like you have more power than you actually do, and your enemy will fear you more.
See, well, this is from the same mentality that used 1984 as a guidebook.
True. I rescind those statements.
Spot?
Well, in relation to this, I mean, anything that goes against public view or any dissection of any part of this is pulled apart by those in power. Look at YouTube itself are removing videos that have people talking about this or noticing inconsistencies, or I mean, when you have every form of media trying to push the same thing, that should raise alarm bells across the board.
Yeah. But the thing is, it doesn't seem that they're actually getting more support for gun control. It seems that we've already reached saturation. And they're trying to push more and more, but it's only going to backfire. It's going to make people say, well, you push for all these laws, and some have been implemented, and they haven't done anything. Doesn't that mean we should try the opposite, maybe deregulate guns?
Well, and they're going about it the wrong way, too. I do think that they're probably in position to gain some ground if they wanted to, and if they were serious about compromise. But the problem is they instead are insistent on
all or nothing,
demonizing half the country. I mean, at some point, these kids that they're trotting out are accused. At various points, they are equating people with child murderers. I mean, they that kid at the town hall last night said, "Hey, Marco Rubio, when I see you, I see I'm looking down the barrel of an AR-15 at Nicholas Cruz." I mean, if you think Marco Rubio and Nicholas Cruz are equivalents or even comparable in any way, that's where you lose people who are interested in compromising.
Yeah, and the thing is,
have I seen this before? Yes, the 90s.
I mean, if we were dealing with an actual unbiased media that was digging into this, the people that should be called child murderers right now should be the FBI, local law enforcement, people who had authority. As I would say that one of the best people that kind of goes over a lot of this stuff is Stefan Molyneux. He does a really good job dissecting these shootings, whether you love him or hate him for other stuff he believes or pushes. He's right. In this situation, the people who should be tarred and feathered in the public square are the people who had authority over this kid and never stopped him. I mean, this kid could have been involuntarily committed at any one of those 39 times, and they would have found this kid is... he needs to be contained. He needs proper mental health as an inpatient.
I'm willing to think that that was down to not wanting to fund and finance such an endeavor rather than tinfoil hat territory.
I'm not saying that they were planning this. I'm saying that these people, they are culpable because they were negligent. They're guilty of negligence, not of actually planning it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And to that extent, I still wouldn't call them child murderers, but I get the spirit of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, it's the hyperbole of the whole. I mean, this is where they're being fed lines. I mean, you toss around a term like child murderers, it's meant to invoke an emotional response.
Well, and also in this entire situation, like, this has only been a week, and yet these kids, they are so gung-ho about this. I'm just like thinking, do these kids actually feel sadness about the entire incident? Or maybe not sadness, but just like any shock still?
I mean, I have to... I really try to hesitate from questioning their intent, questioning their motive, because that's what they keep doing, and it's so
true.
Honestly, it's just repulsive to me. Like, if we can't agree, if we're really screwed if we can't agree that everybody looks at that situation and says that was terrible. Let's not have that happen again, and talk about ways we can make it less likely. If we can't grant everybody that premise or that intent, that it's a really sad state or sad commentary on the state of our communities, on the state of our culture, on the state of our society in general. So I don't know. I mean, I think it is strange that there's immediate political activism as opposed to a period of mourning, but man, I hate what they're doing, and so I try to hesitate from doing the same thing to them.
Well, if you get rid of AR-15s, then school shootings will cease immediately.
Somehow.
Apparently, yeah. So I'm told. And that's what's annoying too.
Because no other such gun ever exists.
Ever will exist. Something that I find funny that the media keeps forgetting. Back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, before the machine gun ban, you could legally purchase a brand new fully automatic weapon. And yet there were less mass shootings by far. And almost all the mass shootings that happened back then were something like the Dallas sniper, where he was the Dallas Clock Tower sniper, who was using, I think it was a bolt action rifle or maybe a semi-auto.
Yeah.
I think there's something like 3 documented cases of murders with an automatic weapon.
There were 2 with
legally... It's only 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
2 legally obtained. Was it one that was illegal?
No. No, the 2 of them, and one of them was a cop who killed his wife with a duty weapon.
Yeah, okay.
So my position is, thus, this proves that 50% of all murders with legally obtained machine guns were done by cops. That means cops should be barred from having machine guns.
Was the other one the Valentine's Day Massacre?
No, those were all illegally obtained.
Okay, never mind.
Almost all the gangster guns were illegally obtained.
Okay, I was just curious because
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Icy.
Hello.
Damn it.
Oh, hey, there's a wandering, too.
Yeah. I did all my homework. He was wandering about. How's it going, everyone? Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
But what I was gonna ask, do we know how much automatic weapons cost back then? Because I think that could be a fairly large determinant in
back when
the number of people.
Back before the 86 or whenever it was they were regulated.
Yeah.
Well, around 86, it was rather pricey because an automatic weapon did cost a fair sum of money.
Plus a $200 tax stamp.
Yeah, plus $200 tax stamp. I'd say it was probably worth maybe $1,000 or $2,000 more than your conventional firearm. It's gotten astronomically insane. It costs like $20,000 to get an automatic weapon, and that's probably a Thompson.
No. It's also with vintage M16 AR-15s that are in the M16 configuration. It's with AKs. It's with anything fully automatic because it was the 84 or 86 Act. That
86.
Yeah, the 86 Act that basically said manufacturers, you cannot produce new machine guns for civilian sale. And all that did was basically move it from the enthusiast market to the collector's market.
Okay.
And causes skyrocketing prices.
I have a question, guys, if that's okay, from an outside perspective. What is graded as a mass shooting in the US? What's the actual...
4 or more people injured or killed.
Okay.
They only have to be injured. No one has to die.
Well, that's why I said injured or killed.
Okay, that's convenient. That makes this even easier then.
Yeah.
So, of the requirement for that definition, what is the most frequent weapon used?
Pistols.
Pistol.
Mm-hmm.
So banning AR-15s will stop the mass shooting. So,
Okay, if you use all long arms, which include shotguns, bolt-action rifles, basically anything that isn't a pistol, there's about 300 to 400 murders a year, or homicides a year with those weapons. Do you know how many people die every year from just fists and feet in the U.S. in a homicide?
Fists and feet, kicks to death.
Yeah.
ban feet!
Unarmed homicides. Do you know what that number is?
Well, actually, that seems more physically likely than actually punching someone to death.
There are 800 murders a year, homicides a year in the U.S. from fists and feet. That means long arms are safer than a naked person.
Well, I love seeing all these statistics where people are, and this is something that was brought up against me by a professor. I forgot to strike it down because I only realized this after the fact. They always use the amount of mass shootings compared to other nations. They don't account per capita at all.
Dude, I saw Jenk using those stats on the Young Turks the other day. He said, "Look at this. Here's a chart of guns in relation to gun murders or whatever, and it clearly shows a lot of guns in the United States and a lot of gun murders, and then it shows a bunch of other countries way down on the other side with a little amount of guns and a little amount of murders. It wasn't even a per capita chart." So he was comparing the U.S. to Peru.
Also, not only that, but he isn't doing all homicide, because does it matter how someone was killed? Someone was killed.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
But it has to be a gun! Guns are evil!
Yeah.
Of course!
And people who point to the Australian buyback program as this great success, do you know that 2/3 of the guns that were estimated to exist in Australia are missing still? 20 years, and they don't know where they are.
Imagine that. Yeah, I know. If the feds come to my house and say I'm here to take your guns, I'll hand them over. I'll say yes, I that's fine. Here you go.
Yes, officer. Also, please have sex with my wife. That's how I win in the end.
The guns are in the counter. My wife is ready for relations.
But
yes, right this way.
But remember, guys, it's not just the AR-15s that are killing our children in the classroom because they walk around and do this on their own.
Yeah.
It's also them damn video games.
Dude, you know who actually said that was Trump at his White House meeting. I was so disappointed. It's the movies and the video games they're getting.
Consumerism intensifies.
No. This quote right here that because I'm perusing Twitter as I'm doing this for the Christiansen segment. Chris Raygun actually just put up a tweet a little bit ago, a few hours ago. Retweeting something from the Hollywood Reporter, a quote from Trump. I'm hearing more and more people say the level of violence in video games is really shaping up people's thoughts. Maybe they have to put a rating system for that.
It already exists. Look,
Raygun is asking, okay, who's going to tell him?
Look,
I love the way every Trump statement is qualified. I'm hearing more and more. Or people are telling me. I'm hearing people say. That's what I think.
Look, what Trump is doing is making platitudes. Trump is using canned platitudes to try and keep things calm. That's what he's doing right now.
No, I totally disagree. I think he's actually doing what he says he's doing and is trying to work on legislation to restrict bump stocks and a bunch of other stuff that doesn't need restriction.
You mean springs?
I mean, I get it. I get that people are trying to look for ways to offer concessions to the gun control crowd. But the problem is, if you give them bump stocks, you could even give them the AR-15 age increase. This is gonna happen within the next year. I guarantee there's gonna be
totally.
And then they're gonna say it's gonna be another sequence of events. It's gonna be another thing that's gonna have to be banned. It's not about bump stocks. It's not about AR-15s. It is about ultimately disarming people and removing their right to defend their life and liberty and property.
Trump says something like that, and then he goes around and says something else. He says, "quote gun-free zones are like going in for ice cream for killers."
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair too.
That being said, Matt, I do actually have one I brought forward to a lot of people in here. I want to bring forward to you.
Yeah.
That might actually help curb gun violence, and it's not going to curb mass shootings. Nothing short of arming teachers is going to do anything to stop mass shootings. They're a drop bucket. Now, to actually curb gun crime, a good idea would be to make it more of a more serious offense if you commit a violent crime with a gun on your person.
Yeah,
legal or illegal.
It's called Project Exile. I think it was tried in Georgia, one of the Carolinas. Basically, just having a gun illegally or committing a crime with a gun, first offense, minimum 5-year sentence, tacked on to anything else. And if you're caught a second time,
wait.
What was that?
I'm not the premise exactly. You're saying committing a crime with a gun on your person, whether or not the gun was necessarily relevant to the crime?
If you are illegally
Well, if it's a violent crime.
Yeah,
With
if
a
you
violent
use a
crime,
gun
there's
in a
probable
crime
cause.
that's an illegal
So
use
if
of
I
a gun...
punch a guy while I have a pistol...
No, not that. What I mean is if you use a gun illegally or you have an illegal gun on your person, it's a minimum 5-year sentence, tacked on to any other crime associated with it.
Well, no, even then, I argue that, say, if you're committing if it's a felonious, violent act and you have a gun on your person at all, oh, totally, you should get that tacked on 5 years. I think they should apply to that as well. Because if you're committing a violent act and it's, felony grade, there is probable cause for that you could have used the firearm, and it won't in any way discourage people from committing those acts. With firearms, generally increasing the likelihood of someone coming out alive. Then, of course, you got to attack the knife issue, which I think is a very important issue to address after that. But I think that...
I don't know. I could... Maybe I'm arguing an exception, but I could see a scenario... Well, I guess it depends...
Well, the thing is, Project Exile was actually done. It was 5 years, basically, for illegal gun use. Then if you're caught a second time, it's 25 years. Overnight, they saw like a 70 or 80% reduction in the use of guns illegally.
Oh, wow. So
Overnight.
Yeah.
Overnight.
Okay.
We need to make this federally mandated across the states.
Don't tell Trump.
Yeah.
Because, I was going to say I could envision a few scenarios in which you might commit like a property crime, for example, with a gun on your person that would be felonious but not even necessarily...
But would it be violent?
That doesn't count as violent, like a property crime?
Well, it depends on how you define... Again, it depends on how you define violence. And that is, again, these are things worth discussing. But just to clarify, this isn't my idea. This is an idea that's brought forth by the Freakonomics guys.
Yeah.
And I think it's something worth discussing because I do think it could be a solution. It fits into libertarian philosophy, and it's like, it makes sense. And generally speaking, I think it would be a good idea for curbing, crime in general.
Well, hey, so I'll have to get out of here shortly, but I got a good libertarian talker for you if you're interested on the concept of guns here. So of course I've been battling a bajillion people on Twitter.
Well, you can tell I've been watching the Twitter feed.
All the nonsense.
You raise their fist, any pro-gun people.
So one of the things I'm getting because of course I'm going to defend my Second Amendment rights. I think they're very important. I don't want to concede them. But people keep coming at me. They say, well, why do you need it? It's like, first off, I don't need to justify my reasoning to you. That's what makes it a right. But second off, I believe it's important to defend my life, liberty, and property, and that's why I have these weapons. And then they come at me with, they think they get you with well, you could defend those things with a nuke, bro. Why can't you have a nuke? And so
because of the collateral damage potential.
That's precision.
But I had to think about it. I had to think about, okay, well, what weapons does my worldview protect then? And the way I framed it, the way I thought about it in my head was you have a right to your own life, liberty, and property. You do not have a right to another's life, liberty, and property. So any weapon that is sufficiently precise to protect your own without harming another's, I say would be fair game. Now that obviously would include fully automatic weaponry, for example.
Well, I mean, a good example would be if you would use the FNP90, which is what's known as a PDW, personal defense weapon, with frangible 5.7 millimeters rounds, it will not go through most walls at all. It can shred body armor, but it won't go through a wall. So it's actually the ultimate defense weapon for a home.
So my response to these people is if you can with precision eliminate a threat to your life, liberty, and property without harming another's using a nuke, if you can afford to do that, I am fine with you doing that.
X-ray machines.
Is there a way
I'm the guy who thinks we should be able to own tanks, Matt. So, and here's the thing: when someone is in that instant threatening your life, liberty, and happiness, that's what someone does. That's why you own. You have self-defense.
Yeah.
Theirs is forfeit because they're in that instant committing an act against you that would in any way get rid of yours. That means that you must act in kind, only in act of self-defense. That's what self-defense is. Right. Because when you do that, you have the propensity to kill. You're not necessarily going to kill, but there's a propensity. to that end, you should be allowed to own anything short that would cause damage strictly to that person or to them.
Right.
So
okay.
it should be
that's
in
my
accordance. Yeah. So it should be in accordance with the situation. I mean, yeah, you can defend your house with a nuke, but how many other people are going to die that are doing nothing?
Okay,
and that's what makes it wrong.
The utterly hilarious thing is, the defending yourself with a nuke is basically the end game joke of the libertarian movement. You violated the NAP, throw a nuke.
Yeah.
Stop! You violated the NAP.
Well, I think the
Pay me a fine or serve your nuke.
Sentence.
Okay. I think the more better comparison would be a seatbelt. I heard that argument so many times with the gun and self-defense. That makes a more reasonable argument.
Well, Matt, before you go, a simple question then could be asked to those whose view using gun as extreme. What would they consider as drawing the line as to what's reasonable to defend yourself with?
Well, see, and that's the problem. It's all this subjectivity, and it's all this kind of
subjectivity aside. What can everybody agree on, or most people agree on? Where do you draw the line? What's the highest tier that you are allowed to defend yourself with?
I thought we could all agree on things like
nuke.
I honestly thought we could all agree on things like handguns for the purest purpose, which would be self-defense. But it's clear to me that itself is not even a commonly accepted opinion. There are plenty of people who think that a handgun in your home for the purpose of protecting your life and your property is a silly idea, even a crazy idea. So I don't know. I wish I could answer your question and tell you what their standard is, but I don't think they have one. I had one guy on Twitter tell me today he views all weapons as illegitimate.
Oh,
I saw that.
That was my point, Matt. It wasn't. I wasn't asking this question for myself. I know that it's not about the gun. It's not about which specific gun do you draw the line on. It's that all guns are bad and you're going to have to ban them.
No, Matt, fuck it. We're going back to bayonets or probably sticks and stones.
Okay, so fix bayonets to your baseball bat.
And this is what's crazy, too. I mean, the distinction that person was making was I oppose things that are designed for the purpose of being weapons. But that's just it. Almost anything can serve the purpose of being a weapon.
It's like,
the human fist is designed to... No. The human hand is designed that can be used in a fist form to defend yourself. Ergo, his hands are a weapon. He should give up his hands as forfeit.
Well, that's what I said. He should cut him off, but that's kind of a pickle because he'd probably have to use a weapon to sever them.
I have to say, Matt, that was
right to bear arms was
That is beautiful.
Yeah, I also saw that is when someone made the car comparison. It's like, cars are not used as weapons; they're a mode of transportation.
Talk about Paris.
Yeah. You can
actually.
All that matters is the intent of the user at the time. I don't care whether most people use it for, and it's self-defeating. Are you telling me that most people use their guns for murder? That's statistically untrue, obviously.
No, the vast majority use them for target shooting.
This isn't like Halo or Titanfall or anything like that. We don't have smart guns.
Oh man, that's the
auto turrets. Yeah.
God, I want to live in the future
Why
with
are you
smart
buying
guns.
this
Those are
gun?
such bullshit in that game.
Oh, they are, and I love them.
No, I hate
But,
they ruined the first Titanfall for me.
They're still around the second one, but they're just super nerdy.
Yeah, I liked the second game, but I just
The second
haven't-
game was fun. I played the campaign
The
recently.
campaign was really good.
anything's better than the first game. Anything's better than.
The first game
First
was
game was
fun.
fun.
It was a good base, and they improved on it a lot for the second one.
Yeah. Problem is, of course, it wasn't Halo or Call of Duty or Battlefield, so no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway,
yep.
I gotta hop off.
Yeah, we'll let you go, but Matt, I do want to tell you something.
Yeah.
I got a buddy who's in my libertarian club at my college who just came in. He came in this last semester. He's kind of left wing still, and he's come from the left.
Yeah.
I am gonna turn him onto your videos, so that
Sweet.
way hopefully he can kind of start moving forward. Because he had some problems. He's an immigrant, and he's from Kenya, so he still thinks some of the more systemic racism, systemic sexism stuff. I'm gonna try and hopefully see if through you and some other people convince him.
Quick question, Isaac. Are you sure it's not Obama?
Obama.
No, that's cool.
Okay.
Man, before
He
you,
might have come
the same year
Obama came back
to Illinois, but that doesn't mean they're the same person.
that's really cool, man. Though, and before you hopped on, we were talking about. I mean, I guess I was previously aware. We were talking about how you guys met through the podcast or my channel and stuff. I think it's all very cool, and I thank you guys for what you're doing, and if you're able to spread these cultural values.
Well, I had to set up a safe space during the week, Matt, because there was nobody gathering at your server during the week.
Well, yeah, I don't even go on Discord. I just go on there to do the call-in show. That's it.
I have noticed.
People in the Batcave, we have people all over from the United States. We have people from Britain. We have one poor criminal from Australia.
Yeah, but that's how this stuff happens. Is it literally is on a one-by-one personal basis, and you get meaningful cultural change over time. And so it's important that you guys are doing that, and I appreciate it. Anyway, that I start talking like that, and I start sounding like a politician or something. So
you're gonna love it. I love that.
Yeah. Anyway, appreciate it, guys, and I'll be in touch. It's good to hear from you guys. So.
Thanks for joining us.
See you around, Matt. Yeah, thanks for stopping by.
I got to talk about it as well.
Right.
Oh my
No problem.
God, you get me get a single fucking word in.
Now's your chance, Bigfoot. Are we still on the same topic, guys, or should we wrap it up and move on to the next one?
Should we go to town hall?
But be a more apt comparison to get to the ridiculousness of the nuke analogy? It's like them asking you to defend your life with a suicide vest.
Yeah, that'd be more accurate.
You only get to train with it once, though.
But anyway, so we didn't really go into we went all over the place there, but we can bring it back. We can try to bring it back for the second part of the segment. I actually did not watch the town hall because God knows I get enough cringe as it is.
Oh God! They're basically saying you Republicans, you're baby murderers. Ugh.
No.
What pisses me off the most is that most of those
murder children. The NRA funds baby killing.
I swear to God, every time
you can buy guns from their website.
No, you fucking can't.
And
I think you can. I think you can sign up for classes on their website.
Guys! Don't give a shit about Planned Parenthood, though.
Oh, damn it! You stole it.
Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I'm actually right now. We're doing it live. I'm going to the NRA's website. I'm going to see if you can actually buy a gun on the NRA's website. Home.nra.org.
Doesn't fucking matter anyways.
Stop from the suspense.
Amazon store.
Can you buy an abortion at Planned Parenthood's website?
You can schedule one.
Wait, the first gun you're going to see, Spart, put it in cart, it's going to be an AR-15.
There is no store.
Lies.
I heard you can sign up for classes.
You can sign up
wait, shopping. Shopping?
On PlannedParenthood.org. You can actually buy an abortion online.
Okay, NRA store and country gear. Everything else is like signs and benefits and crap. Okay, NRA store. What do you have?
There's NRA Tactical.
Okay, hold on.
That's where the nukes are.
Okay, so they have new arrivals, made in USA sportswear, gifts.
So what you're telling me is it's merch. It's merch.
It's merch. They actually don't sell guns. They sell knives, ironically.
Fake news. That's fake news.
They sell holsters, concealment, instructor gear, shooting gear, survival, bags, gun cases, knives, flashlights, and safes in terms of gear. Accessories, pins, patches, decals, home and all the whatever. They don't sell actual guns. They sell cigars.
Oh, link me to that.
Are they NRA branded cigars?
Actually, yeah, it says NRA cigars.
I gotta buy those for my dad at some point.
Okay, I will post this. Actually, no. In full view of everyone here, I'm posting this in the chat, in the Hangout chat. NRAstore.com. That is the official NRA store.
Merch store.
They do not sell the national
book with a gun on it. That's close enough. The official National Rifle Association store does not sell guns. Disproven. It's got to be here somewhere. It's hidden under something else.
Yeah, what does Planned Parenthood do for the abortions? Like they hide it in one services?
They help mothers.
They do a bunch of services.
Wait. We're going to click on best sellers because obviously, if the NRA only sells guns, their best sellers should be actual guns. See, that's a tool. So that's not a gun. Let's see, a drying system, a watch, magnets, a record book, earbuds, coffee mug, handbag, a gun book.
There's a gun rack.
So yeah, even in their bestsellers don't include actual fucking guns.
I found an axe.
Norwegian gun.
So yeah, sorry guys, I think we've completely disproven that the official NRA store does not sell guns.
Yep.
Sorry. You do not buy guns from the NRA. Disproven. I'll actually send that to Matt later, just so he can throw that as an actual argument.
But you can buy abortions from Planned Parenthood.
Yeah,
on
apparently.
the taxpayer dollar.
On taxpayer dollar. Literally, you can book an appointment right here on the website. That is the equivalency.
What's the
And
deluxe package?
That is the fair equivalency. So, go ahead, folks.
Actually,
Enjoy that.
At the deluxe package for Planned Parenthood, not only do you get the baby fetus sucked out of you, but you also get a liposuction at the same time.
I want to try out the genocide package.
We're terrible
So
people.
are we only offered that to blacks here at PlannedParenthood.org?
All right, so yeah, Trump's saying that, I obviously he doesn't pay enough attention to popular culture if he says that video games need a rating system.
No, I disagree with you, Ison. I do think that he's throwing out what people want to hear.
That wasn't me that said that.
That wasn't? Somebody,
that was Start. Old man, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was you. If you said it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Actually, I didn't. All I did was pull up the quote. I didn't say one way or the other.
Did you guys see Aiden Paladin's video on this whole thing?
No.
Not yet.
I think she probably has one of the better arguments.
Well, the thing is, don't get me wrong, I like Aiden Paladin, but goddamn, the videos are long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an hour.
Oh, Christ. I don't have that kind of free time. Not anymore. Anyway.
I'll just post it here.
But anyway, we'll go ahead and move to another topic because we can discuss this ad nauseum. Because apparently video games cause violence again, like they've been saying since the fucking 80s.
I mean, every time this comes around, it's the same fucking discussion. And the left says, oh, you guys don't want to talk. And then we're like, we've talked about this 100 times. What else is there to say?
Because it's
the
the same discussion because the plan is still the same. The plan is to ban guns.
The left says it makes you uncouth and unsocial justicey. The right says it makes you ungodly and violent. Both just shut up. It's the same thing as watching a movie or reading a book. Fun with it.
I mean, it was the same argument against D&D. Worship the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
and burn churches.
I think Satan is our Lord and Savior, while I also play a paladin in D&D.
So, wait, okay. Something I just makes me a little.
Did he do more shit like a retard?
No, this isn't. This is still Trump possibly doing something.
What is it?
Trump threatens to pull ICE and border control from California state status.
You do quite the fucking opposite, Mr. President, sir. You go out of your way to crack down on California until they bust peanut that they are. You crack the nut. You don't just stop applying pressure.
The opposite. He's doing it right. They'll all flock there, and that's when you can drop. in one
And then
fell
you
swoop.
then you add the border wall extension over California.
You make it a big L-shaped wall.
It's going to be glorious.
Okay. Just heads up, guys. We're at 45 minutes. So, do you want to do Keck or Cringe, or do you want to continue on the topics?
Let's wrap this one up and then move on to some.
So, according to Crowder, it's up on his website. So, during a statement on Thursday, Trump Patrol from California. Here's apparently the transcript. If I want to deplore people from California, never seen in California, all I'd have to do is say ICE and Border Control, let California alone. You'd be inundated. You would see crime like no one's ever seen crime in this country. California. They're doing a lousy management job. They have the highest taxes in the nation, and they don't know what's happening out there. If we ever pulled our said, hey, let California alone, let them figure it out for themselves, in 2 months they'd be begging for us to come back. They would be begging, and you know what? I'm thinking about doing it. Okay, and that, the way it was titled, the way he said that makes me change my mind. Basically, it's the let the child play with the flame scenario.
Let the
Burn
child
that
stick the
fire
fork.
burns.
Let the child put the fork in the socket.
Problem. We're not just dealing with a kid here. We're dealing one that has a concussion and a full frontal lobotomy.
Oh no, but he's right though.
I mean, we're dealing with ideologues and moral crusaders, mere children. Granted, this is over in Europe. I'm using this example from when a man apologizes to his rapist for raping. That's the kind of shit we're looking at here. This is the kind of ideologues we're dealing with.
Hey, guys, I don't want to break in too quickly, but I think my internet's starting to fail on me, so we may want to wrap this entire thing up. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, we got to go to Keck or Cringe. Technical difficulties, folks. Blame it all
Alright,
on
let me start.
You can send the complaints to at blippityblop at gofuckyourself.com.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So the first thing, I'm actually going to pull something out of Britain. I'm not enough. Bob, are you ready to cringe?
No, go ahead.
I only have a screen cap of the article. I haven't had time to find the article itself. It looks like it's probably on Breitbart. British horse racing is too white, the industry is told.
So just get brown horses.
Who even gives a shit? There are like 3 horses in all of fucking Britain these days anyways.
According, it has the first paragraph of the article on the screen cap. Horse racing in Britain needs to become more diverse, the sport was told in an industry awards night at which 90% of nominees were white.
Fine, have kangaroos and giraffes.
You're more likely to run into one of Sarah Michelle Gellar's relatives than a horse these days. And they're practically the same fucking thing.
Aren't they just filled with Irish?
We're not talking about potatoes. And
Enough about the inferior Irish like me. Alright. I'm gonna put it clearly in the Keck cringe.
Keck cringe? Oh boy.
Everyone else?
Cringe.
Big boot?
Whatever.
Whatever, lovely. Beggar boy?
I'm going blip.
And then seawall.
What was that all about? Sorry, I was mildly distracted and having internet troubles.
Alright.
Keck or Cringe.
What was it about?
Keck or cringe? British horse racing is racist or something.
It's too white.
Too white.
It's not diverse enough.
Yeah,
Sadly-
it's not diverse enough.
Sadly, Ison's right. There aren't enough horses anymore because most of them end up being put in burgers and labeled
Or in
as
glue.
beef.
Don't forget the glue.
And Taco Bell.
Can't talk about it.
Moving on to the next topic. I have a wonderful one. Please, just let me spare. You'll love this.
All right.
Justin Trudeau made an ass of himself again, folks.
Okay, let's go.
Here's what he did, right? He recently was on a trip to India, right? And so he basically wore just the average shit you'd see in the gaudiest of Bollywood films.
Wait. Did he cosplay as Dalcine?
Pretty much, yeah. He's got stretchy limbs and everything. Look, if he can't get his dick up, there has to be some part of his body that stretches, and I'm guessing it's his limbs. So here's the thing: Trudeau just wore the most disturbingly condescending ethnic shit. Like, it was bad. He overdid. Like, his wife and daughter had the weird dot on their head and everything. Like, just all right. Go look it's on the Daily Wire, folks. Just go look at this thing, right? It's just terrible. Like, here, I'll link it for you guys. Okay. This is just
so. Ironically enough, he was racist as fuck.
Yes. Here you go, folks. Enjoy that.
Okay, this I have to see this.
Just look.
Oh my fucking god! He went and did it.
It's the kid on his left. That says it all. Get me out of here! Blink twice if they're hurting you.
Yeah, that's a keck for me, gents.
Okay, Spart, would you like to wrap this up before Seawell's interwebs fails?
Okay, well, actually, I got a couple more topics I want to throw out there.
It seems to have stabilized, so I'll let you know if it starts getting bad again.
Okay.
Federal jury finds Democrat Texas state senator guilty of 11 charges of criminal fraud.
Oh.
Go on.
Federal jury, San Antonio. State Senator Carlos Oresti on Arrest Oresti. Okay. Anyway, 11 charges of criminal fraud. The conviction has sent shockwaves through the Capitol and the senator's hometown. The senator and his co-defendants stood before a judge in a federal courtroom and listened as the jury found them guilty on all counts.
Oof.
The federal wire fraud charges bring the potential of a 20-year prison sentence and a fine of up to $250,000 on each of the charges of money laundering, conspiracy, and engaging in monetary transactions related to unlawful activity. So multiple charges of each of those. The men could receive up to 10 years in prison and an additional $250,000. And apparently they engaged in a pyramid-like scheme.
Oh god! All right, you guys get all right. I got another one. All right, you got two options after this. So, as far as that's just fucking hilarious.
All right, so the conviction. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the state senator is found guilty of 5 counts of wire fraud. 1 count conspiracy to commit wire fraud, 1 count conspiracy to launder monetary instruments, 1 count of engaging in monetary transactions and property derived from specified unlawful activity, 2 counts of securities fraud, and 1 count of unregistered securities broker. Whew, lad.
So it begins.
This man is going to prison for a while.
That's just world class. That's some world class Americana right there, folks.
Woo, lad.
Anyways,
all right, give me yours.
Okay, you got 2 options. You got 1 at home and 1 abroad.
We did 1 abroad, so home.
Disney executive Thomas Schumacher accused of decades of sexual misconduct against men. I'm gonna stick it in your butt, little boy.
Wait a minute, any relation to Joel Schumacher?
I don't know. I look it up. Thomas Schumacher. Here's the link. Again, just fun fact, folks. Go to Daily Wire for lols, for keks, for all the good times.
Yeah, Thomas Schumacher.
So is he related to?
No,
Yeah.
he might be related to Elton John, judging by that picture.
Yeah, just look at that. That's fucking.
Oh, he was actually involved in one of my favorite Disney animated films. Aw,
And that would be.
Rescuers Down Under.
Oh.
Yeah, no. Apparently, according to the Wall Street Journal, so take the validity of it as take it with the entire salt mine.
Actually, okay. He also he produced Rescuers Down Under. He was named. He oversaw 21 animated features, including The Lion King, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Pocahontas, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Mulan, Tarzan, and Lilo and Stitch.
Most of those are heavy hitters of their.
So
film
that puts him up with several other Disney employees that just. I think Disney has hit its 3 strikes with Harvey Weinstein, John Lasseter, and now Thomas Schumacher.
Oh
Gosh.
Actually,
How PewDiePie must be.
never mind. He actually deserves everything that happens to him because he was also the producer for the live-action Beauty and the Beast. He deserves everything.
Actually, wow. PewDiePie must be fapping because, after all, he used to be a member of Maker, and Maker is owned by Disney. God, that's just the amount of euphoria and just bliss that he must have. I can only imagine.
Yeah, close call.
But can your prison sentence do this?
But can Wall Street Journal do this?
All right, okay, we're gonna close off with the thing that Blob sent me because this sums up current year. According to the New York Times, asking U.S. residents if they're citizens on the census could be bad for your health. What?
I want to die.
Okay, so he sent me a Breitbart article from this. Merely asking U.S. residents if they're citizens of the country on the U.S. 2020 census could be bad for your health, a New York Times report claims. The DOJ has asked Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross to put the question asking if a U.S. resident is a citizen or not back on the census, a move that Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach, I guess, I don't know, says would ensure electoral fairness. The New York Times' latest report on citizenship question, though, claims that asking residents if they're citizens could spur a public health crisis. What?
They mean riots.
Advocates of, apparently, and now they're quoting the New York Times. Advocates of the so-called citizenship question say it's merely clerical, in an effort to ascertain how many non-citizens reside in the United States. But the question would have broad ramifications, not only for the politics of redistricting that will emerge from the census, but for an issue that goes beyond partisanship: public health. Emphasis is apparently added for that. The fear is that immigrants, even those in the country legally, will not participate in any government-sponsored questionnaire that could expose them, their family members, or friends to deportation. But the low response rates from any demographic group would undermine the validity of the next decade of health statistics programs, health experts warn. Scientists use...
I think I got one.
What?
I said I think I got one to up you.
This is the last one because we have to be nice to Seawall.
Yep.
Okay.
No problem. Just tell me when to start shutting it down.
So yeah, they're claiming that because illegals don't, immigrants, legal or illegal, will not want to out themselves as being an immigrant on the census. It'll change all the data and thus lead to a public health crisis. Solve this shit.
No. Why would a legal immigrant have a problem with that? They just do it. Oh, I've just got a green card. Doop. Moving right along. They know they're already They already know they're an immigrant. So it doesn't change anything. It's just we're counting people. Oh, that makes sense. Like, unless they think that immigrants are so weak-willed.
They are. It'll hurt their feeties to know they're not.
Well, remember the the narrative that they're pushing is that Trump wants to deport all immigrants, legal or not. That's the narrative they've been pushing.
No, he wants to kill them all.
I think they toned that one down. They just left it to deport them, which would cause them to die.
Ah, okay.
But wait a second, I thought he was just gonna pussy grab them all.
That's when they're getting
in their death and deportation simultaneously.
That's while they're getting on the plane. Trump's gonna be standing there at the boarding gate and grab them all by the pussy.
My hands are gonna get very tired.
But yeah, so yeah, I would call that a load of cringe. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. This wasn't our standard format, but I enjoyed this one a bit.
We had a guest, so we had a little bit of fun with it.
Fun nonetheless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The podcast is bullshit.
Yeah, having a guest on does change the format a bit, just because we want to let them have their, because usually they either script out, or in the case of Matt, he does have his live shows, but that's like a smaller discussion, like 4 people tops, I believe, are active at a time.
Yeah.
So whereas this is more of an open forum, so this will let him just speak his mind and have a bigger interaction and discussion.
And up our sub counts. Wait, what?
Yes, because that really matters to us. I mean, let's face it.
With such a quality production.
Ison projects a full 5 viewers.
Let's put it this way: even if we tried, we'd be demonetized before we even thought about having a hangout.
No. We'd be demonetized at the hey guys, and hey guys, let's start a podcast.
Yeah, even before that point, we'd be demonetized.
Oh yeah,
Which was a
totally.
year ago.
All right,
Discord to be gotten rid of. Yeah, all that good shit.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up and give final thoughts. So, Ison, you came in a little late, but you got any thoughts to wrap up today?
Gun legislation is bullshit. There's no evidence that it has had any meaningful effect on crime in the past 100 years of gun laws. Basically, make it so that automatic weapons are legal. Hell, make it so that tanks are illegal so long as they aren't fucking being used vehemently. I'm crazy like that.
Well,
Deal with it.
It's simple. Tanks cannot be considered road legal. Then they have to stay on private property.
There you go. There's a solution. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. If somebody drives a tank off their property, well, and they're not gonna pull over.
Well, these predator missiles. There you go. All right. Yeah. So those are my final thoughts. Go subscribe to my channel.
Shameless self-plug. Well done. Flippity Blood, closing thoughts.
Puts on Morpheus sunglasses. What if I told you people committed murder before guns existed?
People don't kill people. Guns
During the era of the noble savage, you watch your goddamn mouth.
Well, only white people did that, obviously. But anyway, Seawall, closing thoughts.
I kind of go with Ison that gun legislation doesn't do anything, and well, if you actually read a lot of stuff surrounding the founders, they wanted people to own frigates and cannon just to make sure the U.S. government behaved itself. So, yeah.
Okay, guys, new project. We are buying ourselves a battleship.
Because the founders had Star Citizen in mind.
Yeah.
No, we are going to buy ourselves a fucking battleship. We can call it the Deplorable Cack. And it will be amazing. Anyway, Bigfoot.
The SS Deplorable.
Let us thank Ben Shapiro for exposing the serial mass murderer, James Alsop.
Oh, that was glorious.
Yeah.
I'm the Ben cuck here, but even I got it. That was fucking...
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, you're a resident
Wow.
neocon. You're a resident neocon.
Oh, please. I'm not a resident neocon, and neither is Benjamin Shapiro. Eero. I'm sorry, I got to reboot.
Yeah. Moving right along.
Beggar?
I think at the end of the day, I'm just seeing this as one big purity spiral. Just with the entire town hall, I'm just like, oh, geez, what else can they say? NRA's now biggest abortion provider?
That should be interesting, but okay. All I have to say is, so So guns kill people, and video games make guns that kill people. The NRA makes the video games that make the guns that kill people. So okay, we've got, actually I want to play that game. Think about it, where you're playing a video game where you make a video game that makes guns.
Isn't that crafting?
Yeah, that's basic crafting, and actually, Dead Island does that. You make your own guns. Good. Anyway, so closing thoughts would be, just fucking stop with the video game argument. We've heard it for 40 years. Yes, and I mean that. We're going on 40 years of this fucking argument.
They did the same thing with movies and music. It wasn't right then. It's not right now.
I didn't know Pong caused mass murders.
Oh, obviously, the pixelated square bouncing back and forth represents a bullet going in between two people. But
Also,
anyway.
stop with the porn shit, too. Let people fap in peace.
Yeah, there's that, but we're not going to cover that.
If I want to watch my Minecraft fidget spinner helium vape porn, I do what makes me happy.
You're a degenerate, and we're going to have to throw you out of a helicopter. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we're at that point. Even my degeneracy doesn't match your peak levels of degeneracy. Anyways, but but this has been a special episode of the Deplorable Batcave. We'll see you guys next time we fucking feel like it. Later.